Welcome to Coffee Talks with Dan Norton and David Person.
No, he's making me do it again. Can you guys be quiet? I told you I'm going to start this thing now. Hey Dan, how are you, buddy? What's going on? Do we have an appointment right now?
We do. I've just woke up, so.
Well, good morning, my friend. Let me think about what time would be there. It's late afternoon in Columbus, Ohio. Is it anywhere close to that?
Yeah, it's 6:30.
6:30 p.m. is a great time to wake up, Dan. If I wasn't gainfully employed, I probably would. So, Dan, anything you want to talk to us about? I've got so little to say today, and I'm peeved about Craig's whole lengthy thing. So this is going to be very short, but I'd like to just give you a chance to say something today.
Well, I don't think I have a ton to say right now. You normally bring the topics. You've told me some cards to pull out, so I'm guessing you're talking to me about those later. But I don't have anything really to add today. The video today went up a little bit later than normal because there was a problem with the upload, so we haven't had that many comments or anything to respond to. So I'm sure we'll hear a bit more from people on that one later.
Yeah, and as far as comments, we just could comment to Steven all day. So Steven, join Dan's Patreon and he'll comment to you privately as long as you give him enough money. If it's like $1 a month, like we think you're paying, don't even bother. Get the heck off our lives. We love you to death. Come back often, but never, don't leave your phone number. Okay, Dan, I guess you know what, since I have so little to talk about, and just to get under Craig's skin, I'm going to just mention something quick about the markets. As you guys saw, people love to hear about the markets because nobody talks about the markets in an authentic and realistic way. It's like always relative to something else that's got self-interest. I just want to point out the volatility that you saw in the last, 24, 48 hours. You're going to keep seeing it, okay? And the reason is because even though the presidential administration went ahead and stopped the tariff policy from going into place, for 90 days, and people think, well, that's a good reprieve. It has to do with the amount of trading that we do with China. And he didn't reprieve on China, as you know. He actually increased the tariff rate on China, and they came back with retaliatory tariffs as a way of responding. So all of this means that from an inflationary standpoint, by the way, China is our third most typical trading partner. So even on the 45, 50, 75 countries where we went back down to 10%, we still are looking at tariffs that are somewhere, maybe they were supposed to be 32% across the board. They're still going to be 25%. Typical tariffs in other presidential administrations, about 2 or 3%. Trump across the board, if there was no China, 10%. You are still talking about 25% tariffs to American consumers, which means in the long run, whether or not that's, not today or it's 90 days from now when he re-examines tariffs, the forecasts from the financial pundits are for recession. About a 50% chance of the economy going into recession now, which means multiple quarters of growth that is going in the opposite direction. So decreased growth. So what does that mean? It means consumer income and consumer dollars are not going to go as far. So I stand with what I said. You're going to see potentially people hurting financially, and therefore it should trickle over to our hobby, at least to a certain extent. So don't get caught up in this day-to-day stuff and think, oh, I was wrong. I really should have bought. This is going to be going on for a while, like I said, as much as a year or two, unless the presidential administration comes back and says, no, we've changed our mind completely, and we're going to do this a different way. So be patient, look around, shop around, and again, as I said, and Dan took that pearl of wisdom yesterday, whatever, continue to be patient. As I keep saying, I think good things will come from it. Dan, today's topic for you guys is a really cute movie set that I love, okay? And it's the Pikachu I Choose You cards, the SM Sun and Moon promo series 108 to 114. I love the cards. I just think they're adorable. I think Pokemon is about cute stuff, which is really cool. I think grown men to young men to women and all of us can love something that's cute and innocent, and that's what makes it all the better. I don't know why Ash needs to own Pikachu. I don't understand that in this day and age. Well, prior to this presidential administration, there really was no ownership. I guess we've gone back to ownership now. Don't we have the Team Rocket Destined Rivals cards coming out as well? But that's the set I wanted to talk about, and then I'm going to have Dan dovetail a little bit after he comments on those cards and where they came from into a few other movie promo sets. So we could have gone a couple different directions here. I could have gone from this movie set to other small promo sets, but I thought it'd be fun if we made it about movie promo sets today.
Okay. So you just want me to start talking about these Pikachu right now
Yeah,
then?
yeah, and I know you'll put some
All right.
pictures on the screen and put them in the thumbnail because I think they're fantastic. So
Yeah. So there are 7 different Pikachu. 6 of them came in these kind of mini bonus packs. I forgot how you got them. I'm just double checking here, and it's select retailers. You got these little sealed packs of 3 cards, and it would be 3 out of these 6 Pikachu at random. So they're all called.
wasn't it the case, Dan? I'm sorry to interrupt, but I thought I'd read or something that the cards were actually handed out that those packs, that some of those packs were actually handed out at the movies as well. Do you know or not know?
I think that I think maybe the packs were at some theater chains.
Okay.
I know that the 7th promo, which is the number 108, that was only handed out to people going to the movie. But the packs, I think, were much bigger to do with stores. Looking it up, the information I found, because when I went to the theater, I only got the 1 sealed card. It seems that the packs were giveaways at stores. It was one of those cases where you spent X amount of money and you got a pack. So I think GameStop and some other places did it, like they do now with the GameStop stamped promos. Spend $25 and you get your Hop Snorlax at the moment, but it was $25 or $20 depending on the store, and you got a pack which had 3 of these 6 cards at random. So these are the cards from between 109 and 114. You could get just all of them had equal rarity. It was just 3 out of the 6 totally at random that you got from those packs. And the 7th one, as I say, you got as you actually went into the movie theater to see the I Choose You movie. So all 7 cards are called Ash's Pikachu. So the 6 from the packs are all wearing different hats. They're all wearing the different hats that Ash would wear during the different eras of the anime. So the 109 has got kind of the classic Ash hat that most people probably recognize from the first from the first series of the anime. The 108 one, which was from the movie theater, also has that same original hat, but it also has a rainbow feather with it, I believe, because Ho-Oh was, I think, part of the movie. I don't remember the movie. It was not a good movie compared to stuff like Detective Pikachu and stuff. Yeah, it's a rainbow wing or rainbow feather, I believe it's called. It was to do with Ho-Oh. Like I said, not a good movie. I do not want to watch that movie again. But that's where those came from. It's a pretty easy set to put together. I mean, the one that was given away at the movies is a very cheap card. I think less than $5. The others, I mean, I know I sold some packs of those at a card show maybe about a year ago, but I was about $25 a pack. So $25 for 3 out of the 6. It's really not difficult or expensive to put a set together. I think maybe the one with Ash's original hat is a little bit higher than the other 5, but it's not that much higher. None of these are expensive. It's a really nice cheap set.
Yeah, when I looked at it online, those prices have all gone up. It's pretty amazing, Dan. And I know you could break open packs, and hopefully you'd come out well in doing that. Probably could actually make some money because I don't know that I saw sets for less than something like a couple hundred, and I just may have not looked that perfectly. But packs are about 35 now at the cheapest, so it has gone up a bit, and which is kind of cool. But the hats, your story about the hats is fantastic because that's what I love about the hobby. And, as we try to really craft our niche here and become kind of the collector's podcast for folks that want wholesome family content, I love that you can take Pokemon and you can go down any rabbit hole you want. And I'm sitting here and I'm looking at these cards right now with the black and with the red hats with the black logos and the red hat with the white part and then the red hat with a different logo. And I don't know anything more than they're cute Pikachus with cute hats. And for you to actually reference the anime and for people to be able to sort of go back and figure out where that all came from, it's really fantastic. I didn't see the movies. I don't think I ever saw any Pokemon movies except for Detective Pikachu. So I don't know if there's a theme behind I Choose You or there was something special. I mean, I that's probably like a saying, you could explain.
Well, yeah, I mean, I Choose You was what Ash says when he sends out Pokemon into battle. But the I Choose You movie, it wasn't set within like the same like canon or timeline as the whole rest of the anime. Like all of the other movies, obviously not Detective Pikachu, but the other animated movies, they all tie into the anime and it kind of follows a story along. But this one was a retelling of like the start of the anime series. So it was a retelling of how Ash got Pikachu, and yeah, I didn't love it.
Um, the so as I was looking through my cards and selecting this today, I also realized that my number 108, which is the one that you could get sealed, is not sealed. So of course, I have to figure out if I'd like to buy a sealed one to
I'll have
insert alongside the open one
I'll have a
because
look in the box behind me.
okay,
There might be
okay,
a dozen
yeah.
of them still in there. I don't know.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. So, okay. So Dan, as I was looking, and we can talk about vintage probably another time. So I really don't want it to go too long today. But there's another one. There's another movie reference. And by the way, which is amazing about this "I Choose You" cards, they're already like 8 years old, which is pretty crazy when you think about it. How fast time goes.
Yeah.
There's another card from I think it's 82 of I'm sorry 42 of 146 and it's from another movie, I believe 2014. It says it's from a movie promo Pikachu as well. Dan, are you able to talk about again? And these are not uncommon cards, but I just think it's kind of cool if you said, "Hey, I'm going to put together a small mini set of all of the cards that came from English cards that came from Pokemon movies." We would be moving in the right direction with this first set, and then this 42 of 146 Pikachu card.
Yeah, so I just double checked that one. That is from XY base, so it's a variant rather than a Black Star promo. It's a Cosmos foil of a common from the set. This was actually given out at theaters if you went to see the Lego movie, not if you went to see any Pokemon movies. So I don't know why they did that. I guess it's a cross promotion thing. I probably got this one from the theater as well. I definitely went to see the Lego movie when it was in theaters, so I probably got that one from there as well. So this one is just a Cosmos foil variant. There isn't as much of an interesting story because it's not exclusive artwork or anything like that. But yeah, this one is a non-Pokemon movie release.
But it's and I love the Lego movies, by the way.
Yeah, they're
But
great.
the so it's interesting that although it's not different art and it's just a different hollow, this is exactly down. I talk about the rabbit hole again. This is exactly what we need to be doing when we're collecting the master sets, right? We're having to find all of these different variants and where they came from. And then if you wanted to be completely particular, which I don't think you really need to, and sometimes I do, sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. You should get your grammar right, okay? You're talking to an audience that respects you, used to respect you, is never going to respect you. You're wasting your time. Shush up. I'm still doing the podcast. Sorry, guys. Um, it's a sealed promo, and it's cool that it is sealed and it still comes sealed. There's still plenty of them out there. So again, just a kind of a variant that's cool.
Yeah.
Dan, the next thing that came to mind is Detective Pikachu's, and Detective Pikachu wise, there is.
In the
I
same
remember
binder.
when those and talk about the numbers of those, please. But I remember when those came out, and I tucked away 10 or 12 or 15 of each of them. I feel like there was 3 or something. You'll tell us. And they were like so prevalent all over the place. And I haven't looked at them since. So I really don't know how much they've gone up or gone down. Again, we don't collect for value, but they certainly were little different looking cards because I think they were more realistic based as the animation was or whatever you'd call it in the film itself. Is that correct, Dan?
Yeah, so Detective Pikachu was obviously a movie that was shot with real life actors, and then the Pokemon were added digitally, so they were much more, 3D rendered rather than being the traditional anime style. So I'm just finding the numbers of those Black Star promos. So first Black Star promo of Detective Pikachu was number 190. So that came in two different versions. It came with its normal, regular holo at the movie theater again. You got this one by going to see the movie, and then it was re-released with a different foil style and with the Detective Pikachu logo on it, and you got that one from the DVD or Blu-ray of Detective Pikachu when that came out. Then we have number 194 is a Detective Pikachu that was in a blister pack. So there was a Detective Pikachu full mini set that came from booster packs. I think there's only like 18 cards, something in the set, but it had, lots of different products that came out with it, where you got the booster packs and got some promos. So this Pikachu was one of the first ones. There's a series of GXs of Charizard, Mewtwo, and Greninja, which came in case files, they were called. They looked really neat, the case files. Then there were three other promos. There was Bulbasaur, Psyduck, and Snubbull. And these, again, all had two different versions. The regular Cosmos foils without any sort of stamps were from in-store events. So Bulbasaur, I'm trying to remember which way around it was.
Let me say something here, and hopefully Dan won't edit this out.
So
I don't tell Dan what we're speaking about. Dan's really busy. He's trying to put up lots of content. He's trying to, upload and edit and do all those kinds of things. And I get pretty busy too, just with life and all the things I do. So usually I just come in and we start talking a topic. And I only knew today when I started that I wanted to talk about I Choose You movie set. I didn't talk about all these other things or tell him I was going to talk about these other things. It just kind of came to me to want to do this. So he's at a bit of a disadvantage. But what I love about this is the fun of the Pokemon hobby. This is what Dan and I do. We'll actually sit down like this sometimes. We just start talking about something, a topic, or do I have these cards? Or do I not have these cards? Or where are these variants? And we have to go search, and we have to search the internet and Bulbapedia and start talking about looking at binders. And I just wanted this topic for today to be sort of the notion that you can pick anything you want to collect, and that's really what it's about. And I started thinking about, what if you had a card of every single movie, a collection of every single movie card that had come out from Pokemon. And that's what this was coming for. That'd be a pretty cool binder. And so that's what Dan is, figuring out right now as far as some of this information.
yeah, I was just double checking which stores they came from. So Bulbasaur, at least in the US, Bulbasaur was Walmart, Psyduck was Target, and then Snubbull was GameStop. And then they again came out with extra versions that had the Detective Pikachu logo on. Those were from a box set. And actually, I realized I missed one. There was number 170, which was way back in the numbers, like 20 before the first one. There was a regular one which came in a figure collection, a Detective Pikachu figure collection, and then the one of that with the Detective Pikachu logo came in this same special set as the Bulbasaur Psyduck Snubbull that had the Detective Pikachu logo.
And for those of you that are watching, listening, trying not to watch or listen, for those of you that even know this is the last time you'll ever watch us, because honestly we've bored you to death, you are always welcome to message Dan or me, and I'm glad to show you if you thought, God, I really like that idea, I want to do something, or I can't find pictures of all those different. Dan mentioned so many different variants. I've certainly got all these in the binders, and I'm certainly glad to take pictures for you to illustrate what it is exactly that you'd be looking for. And of course, if you wanted more details, you could always go to Bulbapedia and look around and try to figure it out as well. I'm not sure they'd all be in one place. Like often we have kind of everything in sequential order or something, but with pictures. So anything we can do to help, that would be, I'm always welcome I'm always willing to do that. Must be tired today. A lot of repetition in my words. Most of them aren't making any sense. Don't know really what I'm saying. Don't recognize the person across the screen. His hair is fading. The green is starting to fade, but that's the only thing that really allows me to know who it is I'm talking to. And he seems like a good friend, as all you folks do. But then again, I'm paranoid about life in general, so I'm not sure I'm just, talking to the ghosts of my past. Dan, anything else? Because I'm going to move to another movie card I'd like to move to. As you alluded to, you mentioned a movie. You said a moment ago, as I've forgotten now, you said something about a card that was in a DVD or something. Do you recall saying something like that, Dan?
Yeah, the one of the Detective Pikachu's came with the DVD and Blu-ray release of the movie.
Okay, great. So that the good news about that, Dan, is I was actually listening to you, because to come up with that the way as I must be tired today and fumbling around, bumbling around, stumbling around, that's good. And I found something for sale, Dan, and it was I saw it on eBay when I was just doing before we got on, and it was $499, and it was a DVD of a movie from 2002. And I didn't want to do much in vintage with this. I kind of wanted to wrap it up here, unless you thought of anything else. I didn't see very much else out there that wasn't vintage related. But this 2002, I guess one could debate how vintage that is or not. It's pretty vintage. And it said Pokemon Heroes, the movie DVD, and it was sealed, and including the Latios and Latias movie promos. So I don't know what those numbers are. I feel like they must have been after like the first initial Black Star 53 somewhere. Would that be
Yeah,
correct?
they're not part of the WotC era. The Nintendo promos 14 and 15, Latias and Latios, which are included in the DVD. I see the one that you're mentioning. It's one where it's still sealed, but it's a graded DVD, so it's it's sealed in a water case, so as well as just being as well as just being sealed in its original cellophane.
Yeah, and I didn't look up to see if there were other ones, and that seemed just off the top of my head. Something sealed back 23 years with 2 promo cards in it seemed like a fairly reasonable price, but there could be 57 others out there that aren't graded and therefore are less expensive. I just didn't look. I've mentioned twice now, and I'll mention a third time because I'm going to try to allude to this in a subsequent video very soon. I like my collecting interests to lead me into my investing interests. And I know Dan and Laura did a video on collecting versus investing or something. And I'm not a very good friend sometimes. And so I didn't watch it. And a shame on me because I really should have watched it and probably was a wonderful video. But
it was collecting versus playing.
We didn't mention investing. That shows you right there. I went again myself, self-deprecated myself, thought I was under the bus and actually threw myself there for no reason. So collecting versus playing, but my collecting interests lead to my investing interests. And I'm going to describe this for you in subsequent videos, but this would be an example of how that happens. I start looking around and I say, gosh, that seems pretty cool. 23 years old. It's only $500. That's a lot. And I get it. But maybe I'll start looking and see if there's other sealed copies and there's something less that's not graded and search by different search terms and, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll go over actual examples that I'll describe for you where I think you guys can make some money as well, because I don't have the time and effort to do it anymore. But I love this concept of the rabbit hole because you go down and then I start, gosh, that part of me that's paid for a lot of my hobby acquisitions by making money on other investment acquisitions always sort of is in the back of my mind saying, well, why don't we go down here and see if we could find something else? Maybe I could find, like going all the way back to the beginning of this video, maybe those SM-108 sealed promo cards of Pikachu in the movie. Maybe somebody's willing to part with them for, they've been holding them forever, or they've got 1,000 they don't want to tell you about. And so you can get them for $5 or $10 when all of a sudden the price is escalating to 15 or 20 or 25. And, little things that you sell at shows or you put out there, you trade with other people, et cetera. So you have to start small to, walk before you run. But I love that to be a part of this hobby as well. So Dan, you described those as well. And that was all I had as far as the newer type of stuff. Clearly, we know that there was the original WotC stamped promos for the first movie. Yeah. So what are the numbers on those, Dan? 2, 3, 4, 5?
Yeah, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the original WotC promos were at the theater release of the first movie. Then I think it was maybe 14. One of the Mewtwo's was the VHS DVD release of that movie. Then the second movie had Ancient Mew and the 3 bird promos at it. So WotC had quite a lot. But if you were ignoring the WotC stuff for today, if we talk about that later, some of the other films did have promos associated with them. I know at least Destiny Deoxys did. There is a Deoxys card with the words Destiny Deoxys stamped on the card, which again came in the DVD release. I think Heroes, which is the Latios one, I think that might have been the last one that got a theater release in the US. I'm struggling to remember. But then obviously we talked the other day about the Celebi that came in the DVD that was only in the UK. There was a Darkrai from a movie that was in a DVD box that I think that one was more widespread, but I don't know if that ever made it to the US. That's a Diamond and Pearl Black Star promo was in the Darkrai movie. Just these are off the top of my head. There was a Keldeo Black Star promo was in the DVD. I think that the Keldeo, though, I think it was the non-foil was in the DVD, but the same promo got a foil release elsewhere. And there was there's a Regigigas, which the non-foil. This one's a Diamond Pearl Black Star promo as well. The non-foil of that was the one that came in the DVD, but it's annoyingly rare to get because it's. I'm gonna look this one up actually. It's DP40 Regigigas. The Cosmos foil came in just a regular box set. It came with a jumbo version of the cards, some packs. It was really easy to get. The non-foil came in the DVD only in Holland. So it was only the Dutch releases had this English language non-foil Regigigas. And that one, let me tell you, was a nightmare to track down when I was getting mine. That one is a very, very hard to get promo card.
So I'm going to apologize to everybody. This, I feel like this video is more sporadic, and that's okay. When you do them every day, or we're trying to do them, very frequently, they're not going to be perfect. But I had no idea that there were this many more cards that Dan just reeled off the top of his head, because I only searched in a way that I, when you search terms on eBay or somewhere else, you really need to be very large in your search terms. And I narrowed down very quickly because we were going to start the video. And as Dan is talking about these things, I realized in the back of my mind that there was much more out there. So, Dan, I think this would be a great topic for you to continue on for your own channel. I think at some point you should actually do this, and say,
A
all
movie-related
movie
one.
cards, and just do a ranking, and you can call them you can even rank from number 15 to number 1 or whatever it is, including call a bunch of the set. And I think that'd be really very informational, and people could see the pictures of them and everything. But again, if any of you are interested, particularly in any cards that Dan referenced, I hopefully have them all in the collection. I'm glad to take a picture and send it your way or something if it helps in any way. So
I'll hopefully get pictures up for all of these ones. So
okay.
but yeah, then I'll pencil that in. I'll maybe do a video where I go through this in a bit more of a better order, because I haven't been ambushed with the topic at the last minute.
Yeah. And people love ranking videos. That's the fun of it. So you'd actually get the carte blanche to rank them as you see fit for whatever reason, and you could say, ranking all of the movie, the English language Pokemon promos, X vintage, and do it that way. But the message of this thing is we're trying to talk about collect any way you want. And, is it a character? Is it a theme from this? Is it something else? Because we'll make one of these subsequent videos, mini sets, whatever we call that. But this is really fun for me, because when Dan talks about this and you're like, David, what do you care? I really do care. Like, I think it's really neat to think about where these cards are coming from, to think about every time Dan reminds me of that DP40 card, and oh gosh, this one was common and this one doesn't. Every time he reminds me of the Detective Pikachu stuff, I think I still got those boxes in that room, one of each of those sealed boxes or whatever. So the nostalgia part of all of this comes back, and that's what's most important to those of us that really collect. It's that feel good feeling of knowing you own something that represents something bigger, part of a franchise, part of your history, part of your childhood, whatever. So I appreciate that, Dan, that you can at least reel off that stuff and keep us all in the right frame of mind.
Genesect, black and white promo Genesect. I knew there was one. I knew there was at least one I was missing. That one.
It's the last one, right? It's like 100 or 101 or something.
101 in the black and white Black Star promos. That one was really rare for a while, because that one, the first print run of the DVD had it in, and it was a very short print run of the DVD. It sold out really quick everywhere. So for a while, you just couldn't get that card for love nor money, because then more DVDs started coming out without it in. But then another wave of DVDs came out that had it in again, and it came back down, thankfully. So
it's probably still reasonably expensive, I would think, right?
I think so, yeah. I mean, when I say it came down a bit, I'm saying that, like, at the time it came down to $50, which, I mean, in that era, in like 2013, that was still quite a lot for a card.
Right.
But it was more accessible than just none being anywhere on the market.
And so my last comment will be this: whenever Dan says something, and that's the fun of Dan and I having a conversation every day about different elements of Pokemon card collecting, it does trigger something in my mind. That's the way my mind works. And, you try to rein it in a little bit, but supply and demand. And I think we should talk about that. And I think that'll be a great topic for one of these coffee talks. Supply and demand. There can be so little supply of something, and we can give you lots of examples for that. But demand really is a factor in all this too. That Genesect card is really rare relative to many other promos in the hobby. But if you don't have someone out there still trying to put together a promo set of all those Black Stars or whatever from back in the day, it really doesn't matter how rare it is. There's got to be some kind of commensurate level of demand to something that's, to at least accelerate the price of a card like that. So I think about, this is interesting, but I think about what is the museum, the gray felt hat Pikachu or whatever? What
is
that?
Van Gogh Pikachu.
Yeah, what's it called?
It's Pikachu with gray felt hat. It's from the Van Gogh Museum.
The Van Gogh, that's what I wanted to say. And after that card came out, and then within 3-6 months later, there were literally boxes of thousands of those cards that were coming out in the market. I have no idea how the market consumed all of that supply to literally, thousands of additional cards that probably weren't even supposed to be out there. And it did. And now we've got these huge numbers on this card when they're graded high. I know it's always related to grading and the particular high grades and stuff, but regardless, for it to have held up as some price of anything with that many of those cards in the market, again, that demand is just unbelievable. So we'll get into that in another thing, but it's it's fun to look at all the elements of what makes these things not only collectible but investable as well. Okay, I'm done. I'm shutting up and I'm done.
All right, well then we can have this one be a shorter episode again today, which is good because I'll have a lot of images to do. So that was something. That was a look at some of the movie promos. I definitely forgot some. I will do a proper researched video at some point on all the movie promos now that we've done this abomination of a chat. So hopefully people enjoyed. Like I say, we haven't had really many comments coming from the last video, which I expect to get a lot because the time between upload and recording is pretty short. So we'll probably address some of the topics from the last video again in a couple of days' time. But yeah, that's it for me for now. I need to go because I need to help Law get sorted tonight because Law's going to Atlanta this weekend for judging regionals. So,
that'll be
all right. Well, hopefully everyone enjoyed, and we'll see you again tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Coffee Talks with Dan Norton and David Person, with music by More Than Never and artwork by Lore Norton. A special thanks to all our Patreon members. Join us again next time.
But they don't want you to.